Right, it's match number 6 of IPL 2022 and old rivalry is renewed. It's of course Royal Challengers Bangalore taking on the Kolkata Knight Riders, and we have an old friend returning to preview this with us. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Avnish Hegde, or boys and girls for that matter as well. We've got Graeme Swann back with us. Swanee, how are you and how's humid Mumbai for starters?
Good to be back. Thank you very much. It's nice in Mumbai. I'm looking out. I've got the most beautiful view of the bay, of the gorgeous water. I've had this view so often over the last 2 years. It feels like Mumbai is my second home. It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have you on our platform once again. So let's get straight into it because look, KKR versus RCB, no one needs an introduction in terms of this rivalry. In terms of head-to-head, we'll put this graphic out there and get it done with because from an RCB perspective, over the years, KKR kind of dominated them. But the last 5 meetings, RCB just have their noses in terms of 3 wins compared to 2. But having said that, let's get straight into the probable 11s because look, KKR winning, RCB losing. KKR, will they make any changes, you feel?
You know what, I wouldn't make any changes at all. Because even though, you know, people will say maybe change the death bowl and stuff like that, I think they beat CSK in a low-scoring game to start the IPL. I thought they were brilliant the other night. I was really impressed with them. I was impressed with the sort of the new look franchise, the new skipper. And I don't think like game 2 is the time to make changes. I think if you start with a win, you try and build on that immediately. And I think that's what they'll do. Same team.
Same team. They played just 3 foreigners, remember? And there is a case of whether Saudi might come in for Shivam Mavi. Do you see it that way, given the fact that they've been struggling at the death?
Not so much. I mean, I know he went for a few at the death, but I mean, Dhoni batted brilliantly at the death the other day, and he's one of the best in the world. So I don't think it would have been any better for Saudi. Saudi's not a renowned death bowler. He's better with the new ball swinging. And I thought Mavi did okay up front. So I wouldn't go changing it. I really wouldn't. And I don't think they will. Saudi, obviously, is a world-class bowler. And he does get that swing. We haven't seen a lot of swing, though, so far. I don't know whether it's the dew, whether it's the conditions. The ball hasn't really swung in the air. It's nipped a bit like Shami did last night. But it's not really swung.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say that because, look, over the years, not just this IPL or the last one, but they've been struggling in those overs 16 to 20, not just Pat Cummins, but even Andrew Russell and Shivam Mavi as well. But spin could be a solution. Do you think they will adopt that strategy?
Yeah, it's always a tricky one. When you've got spinners as good as like Narayan especially, and Chakravarti, you don't want to waste them, if that makes sense. Those middle overs where they can pick up a lot of wickets, you don't want to waste them if they are taking wickets, so keep them on. However, Narayan is brilliant and he's hard to pick. Not many people get after him. So there's always that option of saving him till the end. I'm not sure how happy he'd be with that, but he has done it before and he's done it well. I don't know. I don't think they did too badly the other night. I know CSK ended up recovering and getting to 133 or whatever it was, but they've done such a good job up front that you can afford to have that. If you're doing so well for the first 15, 16 overs, you don't mind 5 overs where, you know, they get up to 120, 130. Let's face it, if you're chasing, if you're batting second here in Mumbai with the dew factor that's going around, 130, 140 is a walk in the park.
It is, of course. So let's totter on to the RCB playing 11 and ask you if they're going to make any changes because it was dejection for them the last time around.
You know what? I saw the most amazing stat last night that they've scored 205 like 6 or 7 times in the IPL, and they've only ever won one of those games. I was gobsmacked. Scoring over 200, you think you'd lose the odd game, maybe 1 or 2 out of 10. But losing nearly all those games, I couldn't, get my head around it. They look so dangerous with the bat. And it's whether the bowling can live up to that batting. I've always thought they're stronger with the bat. I think everyone agrees with that. They've always been sort of batting heavy. I think if they win the toss and they chase, they will beat anybody in any game with the batting lineup they've got now. I really do think that Faf du Plessis going there is almost a mind-blowing transfer for them. Sort of not being retained at CSK and ended up at RCB. By the way, how strange did it look? Faf not having a yellow shirt on. He looked really good in the RCB one. He batted really well, but he's become synonymous with CSK almost as much as MS Dhoni. So seeing him in a different kit was like, wow. and then how well he played, I think he's got so much more to offer, and he's going to have a massive IPL. Virat Kohli's not captain anymore, so he can just go out and bat. He looked brilliant the other night as well. And then you've got Glenn Maxwell as well, and Dinesh Karthik. I mean, Dinesh Karthik, he's like a little kid again who's just found his first cricket bat, and he's gone out there and enjoyed himself again. He looked brilliant. So I think they're always going to have a team who bat brilliantly and score a lot of runs, and they'll chase anything. I truly believe that. It's whether, if they have to bat first, whether the bowling can stand up to it.
Okay, but having said that, one criticism which came out from the previous side is the lack of intent in the first 9 to 10 overs, about 57-1, and then they played catch-up cricket beautifully. Do you think they could probably go more gung-ho at the top, given the fact that they have batting depth this time around?
You know what? I don't think they did mess it up at all. We saw last night in the game the Wankhede, and I think it's the same to D.Y. Patil as well. It's no good going too hard too early on. You don't want to lose 3 or 4 wickets. You don't want to be 4 down and then eke your way to 150, 160. Because when the juice starts to form, the second half of your innings, you can score really heavily. You can get, 100, 120 off those last 10 overs. I think they paced it perfectly the other night. Scoring 205 was a brilliant total. It just proved not to be enough. But I don't think it's because they went too slowly at the top. And I think they'll know that. They've got heaps of experience now, especially with Faf coming in. Faf will absolutely just control the pace of the innings as he has done for CSK for so many years, and allow those other guys to bat around him. So I wouldn't ever question the way RCB did that. I think they batted brilliantly. It was the bowling and the dew that let them down.
Yeah, some fascinating subplots. Now, one of them is, of course, Dinesh Karthik playing against his former franchise in KKR. How valuable will his insights be in this particular fixture, because he knows pretty much all the bowlers?
Yeah, I mean, that is a massive thing. I love that. I love after our mega auction, so many people then end up playing against their old franchise. I think that's a brilliant part of the IPL. It's one of the reasons it gets better and better each year, because no team is just set for life. Like English football, you have your manager and your 10 players who are set there for as long as they can. So brilliant from the IPL for doing that. And yeah, Dinesh, over the last 2 or 3 years, he was captain, he wasn't captain. It wasn't a happy franchise for a while. Then it was a happy franchise. I think it is a happy franchise now under McCullum. But he's not there anymore. And, just last year when he seemed really happy again, they got to the final, they almost won. Now he's at RCB. I think that's a brilliant little subplot. And do you know what? After watching him bat the other night, I'd back Karthik to come out on top as well, because he looked brilliant. And he's kept wickets to these guys as well. That makes a big difference, because he knows what's coming. You think he'll be able to pick the variations, maybe better than other people. And I've always liked him as a player. He's, there's something about guys when they're not very tall, when they're batsmen, they're really hard to bowl at because they pick up the length so quickly. He's good off the front and the back foot. He likes his sweeps. So I think he might come out on top of that little one. I'd probably back him to come out on top more than some other players who don't know the spinners of KKR so well.
Yeah, it's a special game for little DK, because you spoke about him keeping wickets. It'll be his 200th IPL match to do so. So that's an upcoming milestone for both parties to look at it. Let's just wrap this preview up with Swanny by asking him his predictions, because our experts have been all over the place. Let's see if you get off to a flying start. RCB or KKR, Graeme Swann?
You know what? I think RCB are going to bounce back from that defeat the other night. The batsmen looked in too good nick. I think a lot of it is going to come down to the toss, who does get to chase. But before the game, I think that losing after scoring 205 will be a kick up the backside to the bowlers, and they'll say, right, we're not going to let you down again, we're going to win. So I'm going to go for an RCB victory in this one.
Music to my ears, and plenty of other fans listening from Bangalore, but we love it. Graeme Swann will catch you, of course, in the post-match scheme of things, and that's going to be a wicked Wednesday, so watch out for that. Until the next time, it's a goodbye from me, and of course, Graeme Swann from the comfort of his hotel room.